welcome. If you're here listening, thank you so much. I just wanted to quickly preface what this video is about. This is a raw voice memo I recorded in the moment without any edits. It's a personal reflection on longing for an ancient expression that feels missing here, on Dreamtime, and on the responsibility of spiritual gifts. I chose to share it exactly as it came through, with the pauses, the gulps, and stumbles. I left that all in because they are a part of the truth of what I was feeling. So my hope is that in its rawness, it carries the authenticity of the journey that I'm on. So thank you for listening with openness. I hope you enjoy. So I'm talking about, so I opened this up with how I feel a very, very deep, a deep pocket of space within me where there is some type of like ancient language, like a language that wants to come through to me, or that I feel like I miss so dearly in my heart. Like there's something in me that's a form of expression that I have such longing for, and I'm in search of, but also I'm in full release mode, because if I'm meant to be within that field again of language of expression that I feel like there's some they call it, like light language, right? Like there's some type of light language that I feel that I miss so deeply in my heart. And when I say that, I feel like crying, because it's like right there. It's like it's like just beyond the veil of consciousness for me. It's like something that I can't not I haven't stepped into fully yet. And so as I'm talking about, I think there is some kind of like language for me that maybe that I feel strongly that I do come from. And so, but I also find myself that it's my goal and one of my missions to use the English language to bridge in and close that gap. And so I'm following that nudge right now, where I have two options, or three. One is I could go into hermit mode, or not hermit mode, but I can go into the part of the hermit mode of going within, clearing my space, taking the time, meditating, practicing stillness, asking, is it within my highest self, and the greater good of my life and all life, for me to ask for full activations of this kind of I'm feeling like there's some ancient language that I feel like I miss so much, and go into that space and ask for guidance and clarity and assistance in that. So there's that one direction. Two is I also feel strongly that I'm meant to use just English and have my voice as a sonatic vibrational tool, just through the English language. And the essence of this ancient language that I miss so much, that I'm I'm missing a part of me. If I can find the vibrational closeness and frequency, and as much closeness as possible to that feeling that I'm missing so much with English, to bridge in the gap, that's another route, and that's the route I'm currently on. I'm looking for the language in English, right? Because that's the language I speak, and was born into the family of speaking English and things like that. So I feel so deeply to find as much closeness in the English language to like what I'm trying to say is like come out through me, like through my sonatic tones, through my frequency, through my, syntax of just the vibratory offering that I have just through my voice. So then there's that route, is like maybe I'm meant to bridge and be a gap and try to discipline myself that way. And then there's the third, which is just completely releasing and letting go and knowing that I'm on the right path, of knowing that there's a missing and a longing, and knowing that it will come in the right time, and then knowing that I'm on the right track of using my voice in English, because that's the language I speak, to express this expression that I miss so much. So I was opening this conversation, this dialogue with that. And then I went into kind of why is it that I don't go into directly asking for or going into meditation or contemplation or trying to, perceive through the veil of through the veils and ask for my ancient language to be activated. And a part of me is, so that's why I open with that. And then I'm leading into why I'm a kind of person where I wait, not where I'm doing nothing, but where I trust that I'm being initiated, on a higher level, without me having to, I trust the process of my life, of the unfolding of the events in my life. I trust the process, and I trust that what unfolds in my life and around me are they are the signals to me that how I interact with what's around me in my life and my energy field is what's going to allow me to be prepared, or to pass, basically, to be given, to receive my full gifts. Now, as I say that, it's like, no, I don't necessarily believe that we're constantly having to pass tests, or we're constantly having to, I don't believe that to be the only truth. I do believe that we have a right to our power, to the full spectrum of our gifts on a quantum level, so on a multidimensional level, on a, if I had, 1,000 years ago, a lifetime where I had a special gift, I do believe that I can ask for access of that. Now, the reason why that path is not so much for me, and believing that, kind of taking the steps of living fully in this experience of my life, is that it gives me I feel like it's not about earning it, but in a way it is. It's like, for me, it's a form of like respecting the gift. Like, you can't, I understand now that, like, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And if I want to be certain that I can stand in balance and in harmony with that power, then I would feel more at ease with receiving, whatever gift, light codes, whatever I can receive. So it's a matter for me of a sense of re-earning it, and I don't believe that's the path for everybody. I don't, that's just me. That's kind of like my personal checks and balances. I do believe there are people that are, in different resonance fields, that they just have an absolute complete, certainty and confidence, and that they can receive everything that they have been, all the gifts on a quantum level, and they can, they can automatically step into knowing exactly, how to use them, when to use them, full discernment, for me, this is a practice. Like I'm relearning everything. It's like if I were all these things in my past lives or my quantum self or da. Like for me, it's like, well, I'm here now and I remember what I remember and I know what I know and I don't know what I don't know, and I'm conscious with, with these things, and I'm unconscious with those things. It's like, well, I gotta walk the steps again. So that's for me personally, and that kind of makes me feel better, because I would want to only be fully responsible for whatever my higher self or my teams of light can grant me. So how this ties into, like, I do believe there is a light language. It feels very ancient to me. It does feel very deep in my heart. Every time I talk about it, I feel like crying, because like it's like a missing some type of expression that we don't have here. And so to tie back what I was saying of like why I feel like I do have to not earn it, but I have to prove that I can stand in certain levels of integrity, of discernment, of keeping my balances, of just the upkeep of the spiritual field of my life. So, and how that's just a path for me, and some people might be on that same path, and others probably don't need to earn it as much, if you will. I don't believe it's just like a one fits all kind of thing. I think there's many routes to gaining access to, your highest abilities. And so for me, to tie it back into like, yes, I do think there is something in me and deep that it's like, it's right there. It's like, I can feel it. Like the feeling is so strong and it's so close. It's like right there in my grasp. But I have to trust the process, because I don't have full access to that. And so I believe one of my paths is to find the English vibrational essence in English words, like how I'm just speaking now, to match this closeness that I feel that it's so old and ancient. And that's just one of the paths that I'm on. And I don't know if anyone else feels similar or has I get conflicted, because if I do believe my soul does a lot of high level work, but it won't allow me to access I don't have full consciousness of the high level work that my soul does. And I believe this happens while I'm asleep. So during dream time, I believe very strongly in dream time. I believe that it's more real than, if not as real or more real than our waking time here. I believe it's a different density field, a different dimensional field in our dream time. And I do believe that a lot of high level work gets done and completed during dream time. And so I do feel strongly about that. And I do feel personally that my soul does do a lot of high level soul work during dream time. Now, I don't have access to the memory of the work, but I will catch glimpses of it. And I don't know if that's me knowing that something goes on, and then or it's just like pieces of my higher self that allows me to see pieces of what's going on. And usually I'm on missions. Usually lately I've been given a couple of gifts during this time. I've been given just a couple of gifts, and lately I've been on missions. Usually I'm fighting bad entities usually, or I need assistance in help, or usually I receive some type of assistance or aid in fighting entities. Usually sometimes I could be like underground or even on the spaceships. Like and this is all in dream time, so take this as you will, but it's something, it's my truth. So, and what I feel in resonance with. So I'll be given glimpses, but I won't know everything that's going on. And I oftentimes don't even, right before I wake up, I'm on this like, so much is happening and I can feel it, I can sense it, but then as soon as I wake up, boom, I don't remember anything that I actually was occurring in dream time. So this is another example of, yes, I could ask my guides. I could say, and I have before, I could be like, I need full authority, and like I need to know what's going on with whatever missions my soul does in dream time. Whatever goes on, I need full access to what the mission is, what's going on, why I'm doing it, why it needs to be done. Is this in the greatest and highest good of my life and all life? So there are periods in my life where I feel very strongly to asking for sovereignty, free will to be, granted and respected, and to, to have disclosure within my higher self. And then there are periods where I'm like, I trust that it's all in divine timing. So I walk this fine line of like, what is going on? And then also I trust that really great things are happening. So that's kind of like where I stand. Like, I will receive my gifts when it's the time is right. And for me, I would only want to receive something if I can honor it and respect it and love it and cherish it and appreciate it and know how to use it properly. So that's just me. But like I said, recently, in my dream time, I feel like a lot of positive things have been happening where like I'll receive some type of gift or some kind of assistance. So for example, these happen really fast when my soul does the work during my dream space. Sometimes I'll be allowed to see what's going on, and it's like a couple of images in your head, but you have the feeling and you have the essence. That's what you're left with. You're left with the feeling and the essence, and then maybe like a scene of like what's going on. And so I just remember, like, for example, like one time I felt like I was with the trees, with the tree elements, but I was like within the tree. Like I just felt very close with the tree energy. And there was this tree, and I felt like I was able to move within and out of the tree. And like I was going into the inner earth tree, like not inner earth, but I was going within the tree space frequency field. And then I remember I felt like I was given a gift, like I was given a ring that had like crystals on it, like a crystalline ring, and then a crystalline bracelet. And that just felt very special to me. And for the individuals that do a lot of like work that, like the unseen work, where you're in the unseen realms, like our confirmations in life are this most subtle signs, like, like obviously synchronicities is for me like the pillar of like, okay, I'm on the right track, or like, okay, like, but we don't get a lot of validation, right? And it's not about receiving validation, but you're always wondering like, am I on the right track? Like, am I doing this correctly? Or like, am I getting somewhere, like on a soul level? And so it's nice to have received a gift like that during dream time, of like, it was like a beautiful ring, and it had like just different stones on it, and it was beautiful. And then it came with the bracelet, and I don't even wear jewelry, so it's not that I like think about jewelry. I have crystals and stuff, but like I don't wear any rings, or I don't have earrings or like any kind of jewelry on me. And maybe that's a sign that I should, but I don't know, like it was just an example of a gift I received. And then there was a few other abilities. I think they're like, I wouldn't call them psychic abilities. I would call them just like they're like super abilities, like that I was allowed to see, and then that I carry with me now in, this realm. But I don't ask my higher self, or I don't ask my, my teams of light, or my family, or my soul family, or my higher family. Like, I don't ask, because I just let it be what it is, and then keep trusting the process. So that's just how I resonate with what's unfolding for me on a soul level. And honestly, because we are human also, and this might, touch, like, yes, we are worthy. And that's the other, I think there are principles where we have to prove that we are, like, you have to prove your integrity to receive. You do, like, in a way, like, yes, we are divine and we're all these things, but we're also deeply human, and we have so much densities to work through as humans. And so I do believe that we have to stay consistent in our integrity, and stay consistent in our ability to, like, stand in as much, like, heart space resonance as possible, like within the law of one. And we have to prove worthiness. Like, you have to remember who you are, but also prove that you can stand in your worthiness. And these are things for me that, like I said, it's a checks and balance for me. And then I trust that I will receive what's meant for me to know. What's meant for me to know at the time is for me to know it. I meant to see what's meant for me to see at the time I meant to see it. I meant to do what I meant to do at the time that I meant to do it. So, and I do believe that's the interaction between my team, that, like, okay, here's the next thing. Here's the next, you've done well with this. Here's your payment, whatever. It could be a spiritual gift. And that happens to me a lot. So, and the final touch on that, why I believe that discernment and not having to know everything all the time of, like, what missions you're on or what abilities you have, is for protection. I do strongly believe that. Like, we don't need to know everything, and it's because it's a level of protection. Like, I do believe, like, just think like a child and a parent. Like, your child doesn't need to know everything. Why? Because you want to keep them in that state of feeling safe and innocence and play and wonder for as long as you can. And you want to, there's just that veil, like, what happens with the adults, stays there, and what you can feel is best to share, you do that with your child. You don't tell them everything. You don't, or if you do, there's a certain way that you explain things, or you guide them through, right? You're just very mindful and you're very careful. And it's just to protect them. So I believe there is a level of protection, and why we're not, for me, it's not, and might not be for everyone, but for me, why I'm not meant to see all of my dream time, why I'm not meant to know everything, why I'm not meant to, like, receive all of my abilities all at once, or, like, what missions I have done, or even my past lives, or even where I come from in the heavens or the stars. There are people that know exactly what star systems they come from. They know where exactly in the heavens they come from. They know their past lives, and I'm sure it's extremely helpful and beneficial, and some people are meant to do that. And I believe then there's people like me where I don't feel like I'm meant to know, and I don't have a deep calling to have regressions done. I don't feel that's for me, because I'm meant to, I believe why, for me personally, is that there's the essence of myself, of my higher self, is what I'm most being called to stand in all the time. And I do work on quantum levels where I do ask to So speaking of like where I come from, the star systems, or where in the heavens, or planetary systems, or, past lives, I set the intention to do the work where I'm reclaiming all of my power within all of those parallels and past lives and where I come from. I do the work heavily where I'm healing and I'm asking for full restoration, and I do that kind of shamanic work, if you will, of like trying to so I'm using this current lifetime to see and feel it's the feeling of where I need to have restoration and upgrades, or reclaiming my power, or healing for maybe things that have happened in wherever, like there's been a lot of hijacks, there's tagging, and there's there's just a bunch of stuff out there. So I do a lot of work on that in this life, but I don't ask. I know that I will be shown what I need to be shown at the time. That's why it's just my process with that. But so discernment is obviously extremely important to me too. So there are times where I do get a little bit like, I need to know what's going on, or like I need to be able to authorize my free will. But that's also part of another initiatory process, right? Like you standing in your full authorities, because like now it's just another ability. It's like I've earned my stripes, if you will. I've got my cuts and bruises. I've passed these tests. I've done that. I can, be confident that I can stand on my full authority. I need to know what's going on. I want to practice my free will. So that's just another level of an initiatory process, I believe. I'm almost there. Like, I practice it in my everyday life of what goes on around me, but on a soul level, it's tricky because I believe that I'm not meant to know everything, and also too, there are times where I need to push for it. So it's just discernment.